I can't tell you how many times a client has said to me, but I only had sushi, right before we look at why her fat loss stalled for the week. And every time, and I wish it were different, I know exactly the pattern we're about to see. Today, I want to talk about sushi, not because it's bad and not because you shouldn't eat it, but because it's one of those foods that feels like a safe, healthy choice. And for a lot of women, especially over 40, it's working against their fat loss goals. I coach women who are already disciplined. They work out, they eat pretty well, they're not living on junk food. So when fat loss feels harder than it should, it's almost never because they're doing something extreme. It's usually because they're doing something reasonable that doesn't work the same way anymore. Sushi is a perfect example of that. Now, I'm not anti-sushi. I don't demonize food. I don't believe in vague, just balance it advice. And I don't blame hormones for everything. What I do as a coach is look at patterns, run the numbers, and adjust strategy, especially in midlife, where the margin for error is smaller than it used to be. Sushi has this light, healthy, I did good halo around it. It doesn't feel indulgent, it doesn't feel heavy, and that's exactly why it flies under the radar. So let me show you what I mean. What you're looking at here is a very typical American sushi restaurant order, especially for someone who's trying to be healthy. Usually it's a house salad with ginger dressing, some edamame that's technically shared, but maybe you eat most of, a sashimi appetizer, and then a couple of rolls. And those rolls are usually Americanized. Cream cheese, something fried, sauces like spicy mayo or eel sauce. This isn't a worst case scenario. This isn't someone going off the rails. This is probably what 70 to 80% of Americans order when they go out for sushi. And the exact kind of order I see show up again and again in client food logs. And just to be clear, this is not how sushi is traditionally eaten in Japan. Traditional Japanese sushi is very fish forward, smaller portions, minimal rice, almost no sauces, very little cream cheese, rarely fried. Usually one or two simple pieces, not a sampler platter. American sushi, on the other hand, is rice heavy, sauce heavy, fat heavy, often fried and served in much larger portions. It's basically Japanese-inspired comfort food. Now, let's walk through the numbers on a completely reasonable order, not going crazy, not trying to overdo it. Let's take the emotion out and look at the math. Salad. The salad alone comes in around 180 calories and 450 milligrams of sodium. The lettuce isn't the issue, the dressing is. Edamame looks great on paper, protein, fiber, but it's another 400 milligrams of sodium. 6 pieces of sashimi is actually the best item on the table nutritionally. It's going to provide high quality protein, but even that brings sodium with it. A Philadelphia roll is about 450 calories. A shrimp tempura roll with sauce is about 550 calories. When you add all of this up, this quote unquote healthy sushi meal clocks in at about 1580 calories and roughly 3,700 milligrams of sodium. And this is where people get tripped up and where intention and math part ways. That's way more calories than most people expect for lunch. It's very rice dominant, not fiber rich. Fat stacks quickly from cream cheese, frying, and sauces. But honestly, even if the calories were perfect, the sodium alone can interfere with fat loss. For many, it's twice what they should have in a day. High sodium causes your body to hold on to water. So you can be in a calorie deficit, actually losing fat, and the scale still goes up. That's not fat gain, that's water retention. But here's the real problem, psychologically. You step on the scale, it's up a pound or more, and your brain goes, great, I messed this one up. Or, but I only had sushi. I must be that person who just can't lose weight. Then people either over restrict or say, screw it. My body just wasn't meant to lose weight. That reaction, not the sushi, is what interferes with fat loss. I'll give you a real example from my own competition prep. I had all of my foods exactly the same 2 days in a row. Same calories, same macros, same training, same steps. On day 2, I saw my coach and said, "Can I just do sashimi for my protein at lunch?" And she said, "Try it." I measured my usual 4 ounces of protein, enjoyed it, everything stayed on plan. The next day, the scale was up a pound. Nothing else had changed. Not my activity, not my other meals, not my sleep or my stress level. Here's why. Sashimi, especially in restaurants, is often treated or preserved with salt or a light brine. Even when calories are controlled, the sodium can be significantly higher than people expect. That one change was enough to shift water balance. Not fat gained, just water. Sushi isn't the problem. The assumptions people make about sushi are. Most people aren't really eating fish. They're eating rice, sauces, and sodium with a little fish. Or they're overdoing everything, again, with that health halo around the entire order. This is where progress quietly stalls. People don't log sauces. They underestimate rice. They often don't count shared items. And sodium bloat masks fat loss, which creates scale frustration. Because it feels clean, people loosen the rest of the day and perhaps the week. Some wouldn't even count it as a treat meal, but guess what? It is. You don't have to stop eating sushi to lose fat. But if you want to lose fat, you do have to stop assuming that all sushi is a light, balanced meal. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how I order sushi to make it work without giving it up. Because midlife fat loss works best when we stop guessing and start choosing math over mythology.